My son is 18, still pretty much a baby, and wild as a buck. He's a lot like his dad in that sense. Multiple times I've caught him drinking, lying about his whereabouts, and sneaking out. He's come home so drunk that he's just puked everywhere. He's been in a couple of fights at school and suspended for them as well. His dad thinks everything he does is absolutely hilarious. He has a very boys will be boys mentality, and I hate that. I have 2 other girls with my current husband, and I don't allow them to act like that, and I won't allow my son to either. Well, prom night happened last weekend, and I feared my son would act out. I patted him down before he left and sent him on his way to pick up his girlfriend. The only thing that comforted me about prom was that I did feel like his girlfriend was a sweet and respectable girl. I've known her since she was little and had high opinions of her. I had hoped this girl would keep him in line for prom, but I wasn't naive to his antics. Prom came and went, and I had my son FaceTime me at his dad's house after to prove he wasn't at an after party, and did a drive-by an hour later to make sure his car was still parked there. The problem arose around 5 a.m. that morning when I went for a jog. I changed my route this time so I could go by his dad's house. To my disbelief, I saw his girlfriend's car in the driveway. By this time, his dad had already left for work. I rung the doorbell until my son came and answered. He had obviously just woken up. I said, "I know your girlfriend is here. Let me in." He tried to block the door, but I told him I would call her parents if he didn't move. He kept saying, "Please don't talk to her, Mom." But I wasn't going to let him mess this girl's life up, as he was trying to do with his, and his dad did mine. It was obvious that his girlfriend had spent the night based on her appearance. I let my disappointment in her be known, and told her I thought she was a nice girl, but she wasn't compatible with my son. He seems to be a bad influence to those he's around and has some issues he needs to work on. I also told her if she wasn't careful, she'd end up pregnant and alone, because he's really no different than his father. I told my son he was grounded when he got home, but he hasn't been home since. I got a harsh text from my son's dad later calling me an a-hole for what I said to the girl. He said that I made son's girlfriend cry after I left, and that I made him cry to his dad because I embarrassed him, and he can't figure out why his mom hates him. I don't hate my son, but he needs harsh love. He's been off the wall since he was in 8th grade. His dad constantly enabling him behind my back, and thinking this behavior from him is funny is not helping. I worry about his future if his behavior doesn't change, and that he's going to knock this girl up and leave her as well. His dad thinks I'm an a-hole, and my son only texts me to bawl me out. Am I the a-hole for what I did? Edited to add. When I said I hoped his girlfriend would keep him in line, I didn't mean I expected her to discipline him or anything like that. What I meant was, when he's around her, he doesn't seem to ever act wild like he can be, because she is not a wild girl, and I assume he wants her to like him. Also, when I was speaking to his girlfriend, I wasn't cruel, but I wanted her to be prepared for things she could expect if she became pregnant. Yes, the a-hole. I get that you're trying to force your son to be a different person from his father, but you crossed a really big line by talking to his girlfriend, especially the way you did. I went back and read that again, and just got angrier at you. And let me say, as the mother of a teenage girl, you and I would be having words if you ever spoke to my child in such a way. Women are not there to be the ball and chains that keep men in check either. Boys will be boys is a stupid and dangerous mentality, but so is putting women as the ones with a responsibility to keep a man in check. You going off on the girl is unfortunate. She's not a part of your drama. Yes, the a-hole. Your son and his girlfriend are legally adults, and they can spend the night together if they want to. Calling what you did, telling her the truth about him, shows your warped perception. She knows exactly who he is and seems to like it. Stay out of it. My younger sister Sophie, 17 female, has always had a bad habit of borrowing my, 19 female, things without permission. Jewelry, makeup, clothes, electronics. I've told her a million times to stop, and have even had to make her take off my jewelry when I see her out in public before. She views it as regular sister stuff, but it really bothers me. I don't like sharing. She also used to ruin my stuff. She has gotten a little better, though. I found a vintage designer gown at a second-hand shop a few months ago. It's not, but think Givenchy, not a normal find, and paid to have it altered to fit me. It looks incredible, and I can't wait to wear it. My country has a similar big formal event at the end of the final year of secondary, similar to American prom. Hers was coming up, and she already had a dress, but wanted to wear mine. I said no, and she got upset, but seemed to respect it, which made me suspicious. The day she was leaving, it is a weekend-long event at a historic site out in the countryside. I checked her garment bag and saw, you guessed it, my gown. She was outside talking to her friends, and I was furious and sick of talking to her about this. So I switched my gown out for a cheap casual sundress. She discovered this while there and wasn't able to get a different dress. She apparently broke down as she was looking forward to impressing everyone there after not having events for so long due to the big recent global thing. My parents think she was wrong for stealing, but are mad at me because they paid a ton of money for her to go to this event, and she didn't have fun. I feel a little bad because she is clearly puffy-faced in all the photos, and her dress does look out of place. But I wanted to teach her a lesson about stealing, and was afraid she'd ruin it. Am I the a-hole for switching the dresses? Not the a-hole. It was your dress. She shouldn't have taken it without your permission. She ruined the event for herself by stealing something from you. Not the a-hole. If she had gotten caught stealing from a store, they wouldn't let her keep it until after her event. Actions have consequences. I totally think you're not the a-hole for refusing to enable this ridiculous stealing she's doing. She's 100% in the wrong, and I agree she needed to be taught a lesson, since you've tried talking to her and it hasn't worked. But I think you're switching it with a sundress and not her actual dress was petty, and brought you down to her level. Like, don't play along with her stupid games. I think your message would have gotten through with just her regular prom dress. This way she could play the victim, hence the puffy face. Think about that. She's clearly in the wrong, but you fell into a trap and allowed her to still make people feel sorry for her. If you'd switched it for her actual dress, no one could have said anything against you. I get the urge to do what you did, I really do, and I don't think everyone sucks here, because what you did wasn't at the same level as what she did. But I still think you were unwise to fall into her games. Next time, don't. But hopefully she's learned her lesson. Alright, I, female 17, have an older sister, female 28, that I honestly don't like. She treated me so badly when I was a kid, to the point that I just decided to ignore her existence when I grew up. And she has a nasty habit of thinking she is entitled to my stuff, and usually takes and uses them without my permission or even knowledge. She is used to taking my makeup when I'm not home, and don't give it back until there is just a drop left. She would take my clothes and return them all stretched out because she has more curves than me. And she even took 5 of my solitary rings, and returned them to me the same night with 3 of them broken. I tried to talk to her, but she just ignores me. I've tried to talk to my mom about it, but all she can do is talk to my sister, since she's past being grounded for what she does. So I got a gold-plated earring for my birthday. I got it from a cousin of a very famous brand in my country, so it's very expensive. And I loved him with passion. Usually when I went out, I always wore it. It didn't take long for the pattern to repeat itself. My sister caught it, and after a long time with no news from it, I came to find it in her room, broken. I swear it was the day I was most outraged with her. I stayed in her room all day waiting for her to arrive, and confronted her as soon as she got home from work, and told her that she had to buy me another one since she had broken it. She, in her most cocky face, told me no, that the earring was very expensive, and that it wasn't her problem. I, disgusted, went to her wardrobe, grabbed her college graduation gown and a pair of scissors, and went off cutting it in front of her. She started yelling at me, tried to hit me, screamed at the 4 corners that I was crazy, called my mother, my other sister. Anyway, it was the biggest scuffle. But since it was already done, well, there wasn't much more I could do. Well, my mother took me aside for us to talk after my sister stopped screaming, and she said that what I did was cruel, because I knew how important that gown was to my sister, and I destroyed it without a single second thought out of pure malice. I reminded her of all the things my sister had destroyed that were mine, and she just told me that I shouldn't have lowered myself to her level. That if I wanted another earring like the one she broke, I could have just asked her and she would happily buy me another. But I told her it wasn't just a matter of money. I have money. I could have bought another one for myself. But if I didn't do anything, she would keep on destroying my things as if they were nothing. My mom said she was disappointed with my grudge, and said she didn't think I could think like that. And I started to actually feel guilty about what I did since then. So I wanted outsiders' opinions on the internet. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Why? Because I love it when self-absorbed, nasty people get their comeuppance. Your mother is a major hypocrite. If she had taught your sister respect for others and their belongings, she would still have her precious dress. She should have shut her crap down years ago. Is what you did wrong? Probably. But how much are you supposed to take from someone like that? I'm not going to call you the a-hole for what you did. Your sister is horrible and seems to get away with this behavior. I actually think your sister and mom are the a-holes here. Sure, mom can't ground a 28-year-old, but she can do things to protect you, like provide you with a lock, make her pay for the things she takes, kick her butt out, etc. Your mother is letting this happen. It's only a matter of time before you lost your patience. Not the a-hole. Technically it was crappy, and you should have been the bigger person, but screw that. I'd go further and tell her for every item she takes, even if she safely returns it, you will destroy 3 of her items. No guarantee of equal value or sentiment either. She takes your $5 lipstick, you destroy her 3 favorite books. She stretches out your stuff, you rip her most expensive clothing pieces. They say karma comes back times 3. They also say karma is a bee. Well, she is a B, so it is time for you to be her karma. As for guilt trips from your mom, let her know that she is playing favorites, and that teaching you to be stolen from and picked on is not what she should be teaching you to accept in life. That's what I find to be the worst in this situation. She is enabling her to make you feel like you just have to take aggression. Leads to long-term damage. Let sis know what's up and that you're going nuclear from now on. My daughter, 7, nearly 8, is really into sport. Her favorite is football, soccer, and she is amazing at it, as in one of the best in her year at primary school, even out of the boys. Her school has a boy and girl team, and she plays on the girl team. However, the boys team has more recognition. Unfair for year 3s, second graders, but that's football for you. The striker from the boys team left the school, and the school asked if my daughter could take over for him for the rest of the year, as that is her role on the girls team, as well as her out-of-school team, and she was the best person for the role. She was thrilled. By the way, there are no rules against girls playing on the boys' team, but there are rules against boys playing on the girls. It's ridiculous, I know. They were thinking about giving the sub, the bratty son of Kay, the role, but scoring isn't his strength. They decided against it. After the first meet, Kay approached me and started going off about how my daughter stole the opportunity from her son, and how that place was meant to be her son's, as that's what a sub was for, and how my daughter should stick to her own kind. She then said that it was awful for her son's self-esteem that he was beaten by a girl, and my daughter would be a distraction to the team members. She's 7, for the love of God. I then told her that it was my duty to let my daughter follow her dreams, and I was so proud of what she achieves. I also pointed out that by allowing her son to believe that girls were worth less than boys, she was doing him and his sister a disservice. This morning was another boy's birthday party. We'll call BB. Most of the boys in the class were there, and my daughter was one of 2 girls. Both me and Kay were there to help BB's mom. Kay was acting cold and salty, and when my daughter's team won a game and were celebrating, and the loud way 7-year-olds do, and her son was having a tantrum and kicking a wall, she said loudly to another mom, "Mama 2K20's daughter should stop being such a show-off. She's out of place in the team, and here. She's antagonizing my son, and she should stop trying to be a boy. She's never gonna get to that level." Luckily the kids didn't hear, but I did. These words flew out of my mouth. That level? Your kid wishes he could be half as good as my daughter. Why not go parent him before you or him ruin someone else's special day? I really don't get why she's making it into a big deal. It's just a place on a kid football team. It also shouldn't matter what my child's gender is. She is more skilled in that particular position than her son, so that's why the school gave it to her. She was really angry and stormed off. She and her son left the party early. I don't know if it was because of me or her son's tantrum, and I really don't care. My kid had a fun day, and that's all that matters to me. The other mothers were a little shocked, but most of them agreed that she was going too far. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but I'm gonna say it wasn't really fair of the school to actively go out and recruit another player for a spot on the team, when there was a child waiting for the spot, and attends training and matches. Kinda sucks to be the kid who is overlooked for the spot despite doing everything right. Especially at 7. It's not exactly the Premier League now. However, this is not your fault, and the mother should have brought the issue to the school rather than you as a parent. Everyone sucks here, except the kids. I know that soccer recruitment is different in non-USA countries and starts very young, but the kids are 7 to 8 years old. Everyone needs to calm the duck down and relax a little bit. At 7 to 8 years old, coaches shouldn't be making roster decisions based on which kids give the team the best chance to win. They should be making sure everyone gets a chance to play, is learning the game, and is displaying good sportsmanship. The fact that the coach of the boys' team cared more about winning a 7 to 8-year-old kid's soccer match than making sure all the players on his team could participate makes him the biggest a-hole here. Meanwhile, while I'm sure your daughter loves soccer, she is already on a team. I understand you want her to have as much fun as possible, but it shouldn't be at the expense of other kids who just want to run around and kick a ball. And that's what your daughter is doing right now. She's taking playing time away from other kids who don't have another team they can play on. That isn't fair to them, and as the adult, you are supposed to know this and enforce fair play. Again, the kids are 8. Who gives a crap about winning games at this point? Now, while the sentiment of the other mother is not without some cause, she obviously went over the line by insulting your daughter. Again, the kids are 8. Punching down that much is absurd. The person she should be angry with is the coach of the boys' team, who seems to think that if he can just pull out a few more W's, he can finally make it onto the professional soccer coaching circuit.